perfect time to pick your nose as you're kicking off alive? No, I had an itch. Welcome, folks. Hope you're having a terrific day out there. Let me do a verification that our stream is up. Bear with me just one moment. Today is going to be a tough one. I tell you what, let's try to break through those brick walls, those barriers. If not for others, let's break down the ones we have constructed and address all this tension. Oh, it looks like our stream might be good. But this tension, it's like an elephant in the room, a giant, vast elephant in the room, where everyone is ending up walking on eggshells. What in the heck is that? We're adults. Why are we walking on eggshells? I tell you what. Thank you, elevator music. You have helped calmed me a little bit. But let's not mess around. That was a little quiet. Welcome to a muzzle chat. I don't know what I'm gonna get into on this little monologue here. It truly saddens my heart, the backlash that I have already received from ones close to me in this life, all stemming from recent topics and episodes on this platform. Not just from the episodes themselves, but how passionately I feel regarding the spiritual battle that is playing out before us, so that naturally is going to bleed over into a lot of our conversations in our regular day-to-day. And it's been very tensionous. How many of you are experiencing this? It doesn't even matter whether you voted the same or anything. At the point you're questioning anything that someone else feels a little differently than you about, there's this crazy tension that ensues. Oh, Charlie, we miss you. Charlie was at the forefront of that level of weaponry and warfare playing out before us, and more so giving us the example on a level of self-mastery that it's like, guys, it's words. Let's be adults. Let's be civil. Let's practice this discord. Let's be comfortable. For frick's sakes, let's be comfortable with the level of disagreement. That is crucial. Well, irregardless, I sure hope today's episode helps act as a diffuser of sorts to all this tension we are feeling, and ends up a tool that you could in fact use to help mend the chaos, whether it's through sharing it with other individuals you've had some of this tensionous engagement with or not, because I feel like we're going to step back and hone in on that this is not organic at nature. And this is being intentionally done through many means to our detriment. So we got to stop it. Stop it. And get better and level up and grow and be mature, be adults, and be comfortable with those disagreements and find the stinking common ground to where we can be back on a constructive path. Not destructive, constructive, positive, beneficial. I mean, that's going to feed in. This should be hopefully a healthy contagion. We could only imagine with our children, with our friendships, our workplaces, as to the positive benefits this shift could have reverberating forever the globe. Or for you flat earthers, the world as we know it. Whatever that may be. I'm going to turn this down even more. It's kind of distracting me, but I'm not quite ready to entirely shut it off. So it is as though these individuals in these moments clearly do not see me or you in that situation, or more importantly, my heart or your heart in that very situation. Because I'd venture to say that 9 times out of 10, the very intent of having these discussions or raising the alarm is to everyone's benefit. So why is it creating tension when it's like it's a valid concern? So it's interesting because at this point, I truly hope that these other individuals and their views are in fact right. That Q is in fact working behind the scenes, military forces waging war for good on our behalf. I would absolutely rather eat humble pie and get on my knees right here. I apologize. I got things so wrong. I was sounding the alarm. I didn't mean to, upset or ramp up anybody. And just eat humble pie. Like if I get it that wrong, we'll invite one of you here to literally smash me as I'm apologizing with a freaking pie. Let's make it a humiliation ritual at this point for me sounding the alarm as though wolf, like screaming wolf, 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 right? But I would much rather that be the case than the world I believe is coming. But I do find that belief extremely dangerous. Basically giving our power, your power as a person and as a people, as a nation, in hopes that others are going to show up and save the day. That is dangerous. It's hard to even acknowledge on a more dangerous level, I believe, how we're giving away our spiritual power. Let's ask ourselves, how is this even considered living? Couldn't really diving into that prove the spiritual warfare right there? A level of witchcraft right before our eyes? Isn't this the loss of one's agency as God intended? Free thought, critical thinking, one's voice, even leading as far as false idolatry. All worth considering. But to stay on topic, let's just, if you would, humor this thought experiment just for a second. Imagine, it doesn't matter what your belief is, pro-Trump, this administration, greater concerns. Just humor this, no matter where you're at with it. What if what they are saying is true? How is it a bad move to unite the people, demand for the white hats? Did we just glitch out? Drop a comment. I don't know if we glitched out. Hopefully it's still streaming. My whole screen just did something kind of wonky. But anyway, I apologize. But wouldn't this help speed things up for the white hats, for Q, for Trump, etc.? Wouldn't it just speed things up? Wouldn't that be a wise precautionary measure at this point, just to ensure no more levels of oppression? In fact, wouldn't that potentially still be the only way we really gain the most positive momentum in our country instead of entirely relying on that? So I don't view it as a negative irregardless, but just humor me. And I get it. Those that have the belief in the Q, white hats, things of that nature, are going to have a hard time entertaining this thought. But understand this. if it cannot even be entertained, then I believe the sheer rot is deeper than any of us even know. So please, just for a second, let's just say they're wrong, you're wrong regarding this. At what point, if any, at any point, will they or you snap out of it to organize against our oppressors? Couldn't this realization potentially come too late for us to even do a darn thing about anything? Ask yourself, can we afford any more illness than we're experiencing? Can we afford more suppression of our speech? Can we afford more financial pressures than we already feel now? For the first time in this country's history, the middle class has been utterly obliterated. The majority of the wealth lies for the first time within the 1%, which represents thousands of people, not tens, only a couple thousand. The majority of the wealth. Just humor those thoughts for a second. But let's step back. I truly do not understand why or where this hostility is coming from, as though I am now your enemy. We voted the same. I'm just seeing things a little differently than you are at this moment. How am I your enemy? After all, my messages have simply been shining the light on what in fact is taking place in the world. And endless attempts to unite we, the people, using countless sources, by the way. Most importantly, trying to magnify the voices of the silenced. Because in a perfect world, in a white hat owned world, there wouldn't be silence. Good people don't resort to those tactics. Evil does. So what does that tell us about evil's stronghold around us? And they would only be trying to silence truth. And they've been far too effective in doing that. Why? I believe, you know what? I digress. Let's stay on topic. So I don't see any harm in what we've been trying to share. The incredible harm I do see, though, is the unwillingness to even hear what we have to share and call it divisive, radical, etc. Many of these words, in fact, have become not just an excuse, but also in ways weaponized words entirely being misused. We'll get into that a little bit. But why do folks literally react as though I am questioning their God when I bring up any valid concern regarding Trump? Just as an example. What is this? Why is this? Any and all constructive dialogue at that moment goes right out the window. Why is it folks are not willing to look at any of the concerns handed to them, no matter how it is presented? How is this not leading into a level of false idol worship discussed in the Bible, cautioning us time and time and time again? This, my friends, is what I would like to address today. This why right here. And the very why hiding behind that why. More on that. But I would like to disclaim that no, I am not perfect. And dang it, I never consciously would ever claim to be. This is a forever work in this life, and I am simply trying to fulfill just that, the work. This is a hard topic to even cover as a sinner. So please, take it all as though I am learning with you. I am not here to teach or preach. Gag. Simply seeking to learn more, to observe more, absorb more, and observe. And hopefully in doing so, it can help us all with these great challenges we are facing daily for a lot of us, that continuously attempt these conversations. So that being said, let's do a screen share. As you can see, I don't have much queued up other than Bible verses itself. And I want to be very crystal clear regarding the Bible, especially for those that haven't really dove in and sought that relation for themselves. It is utterly destructive for one to be making all these claims and all these references and being a sinner and falling short. If we aren't cautious and tapping into a good spirit in a sense in these shares, our intent doesn't necessarily matter anymore. We can now more so effectively do damage, push people away from seeking that relation, for example, than having them draw near. So it's more than lecturing. It's the best way is just walking in that path, I suppose, which I epically fail at. So there's a level of guilt in me because I know I'm falling short in any correlations to the Bible. I just want to emphasize that it's an important work. For one, it's a personalized journey. It's not through me. It's not through your pastor. It's not through your church. Those can be they can assist you in ways, in the sense of community, and all that is very important in this life. But when it comes down to the core of the belief and the spiritual, it's an individual relationship between you and our loving Creator and Jesus Christ. And I just implore you to seek that relation for yourself. You entrust in me or anyone else in that regard, and you don't get your nose in it yourself, you're setting yourself up for great disappointment in the future. We're all going to let you down. I'll let you down. Through my sharp words, through my emotional outbursts. We're all defective, and so will the church, and so will the pastor. So anyway, but to touch on this right here, I've quite enjoyed the music. You let me know if you want it kicked back on. But here in Mark chapter 3, verse 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. These are everlasting principles built on truth, that foundation of rock. It never changes. So we really got to step back and look at the world and not misuse even what divided means, because it's all perspective. At the point I'm trying to highlight, I believe all these administrations are serving the same dang evil infrastructure, trying to unite the people, irregardless whether they're doing some, I'll admit and praise them on some of the woke things that they fought back on and pushed back some certain things. But I do believe that was a bare minimum to keep us kicking our feet up and from actually becoming the real solution we need. So I believe it's tactfully being done. But in doing that, a lot of people aren't necessarily willing to accept or hear out what I'm stating, and they'll just be like, why are you trying to divide up I'm trying to unify the people. So that's a word that's deceitful in and of itself. Let's just continue. I don't want to get too caught up on that because I got quite a few notes to dive through if in fact it's going to queue up. But we've discussed quite a bit at length already is to divide and conquer, right? And how division weakens and enables controls to a people. I just want us to ask ourselves for a minute, where is all that coming from? Is it solely from man? Could it be from evil? Could it be from some of the spiritual war playing out before us? And there's a lot more. I want to, maybe we'll just, who is this evil? Right here. This is from Revelation 12. So it is more so applicable to the latter days, which a lot are stating we're in. So 12:9, this great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, the one deceiving the whole world, was thrown down to earth with all his angels. And they love deceitfully masquerading as good angels. But the one deceiving the whole world. I ask myself daily, and I'm trying to have these conversations with our loving Creator to not fall for the deception. How much is this is me? How much is this the devil? And I'm thoroughly having that conversation. We are all going to fall prey. I mean, it's stating the whole world. It's pretty humbling. So, divide to conquer. An old strategy with new tools. History shows that divide and conquer tactics are as old as empire itself. When a population is fragmented and mistrustful, it's easier to control and exploit. Today's technology, social media, targeted ads, algorithmic feeds have turbocharged the ability to micro-target groups. Micro-target. And pit them against each other over, you name it. Identity, race, politics, ideology, etc., etc. Amplifying outrage. Silencing dialogue. Charlie Kirk just keeps popping in mind. I wish he was here to agree or disagree with this very message, how it's delivered, the whole nine. Platforms don't just connect people. They algorithmically, I'm going to trip over words, I apologize, amplify anger, fear, and conflict because that keeps users engaged. Doesn't even matter. Evil, this is showing the root of it truly evil, satanic even, because it does go beyond the scope of profitability. So this isn't accidental. The outrage, yes, is profitable, and a distracted, angry public is a controllable public. So I don't care what side of any disagreement you're on, what are we fulfilling? Let's try to address that elephant in the room to such depth, such clarity, such acknowledgement that we can stay constructive among our disagreements. Therefore, we won't be controllable. So, manufacturing fragility. When people are taught that disagreement equals harm, which they're teaching our young ones right there in our schools, They're trying to even push this with adults, hate speech, Pam Bondi. I mean, all the things that have even happened and erupted since Charlie Kirk's assassination. Unbelievable. That we become emotionally fragile and dependent on authorities to protect us from offense. This erosion of resilience makes it easier to impose speech codes, censorship, or approved narratives because dissent feels dangerous. I'm going to keep it on these scriptures because, I don't want to be distracted over here. Let's continue creating echo chambers, folks. It's another method being utilized on, especially most effectively on the social media, controlled social media platforms everyone is engaged in, arguably more than their personal lives. It's insane, but let's not go too far there. These echo chambers are effective by feeding people only what confirms their biases. Platforms and institutions create echo chambers where opposing views are demonized. In such bubbles, individuals lose the skill and even the desire to engage respectfully with disagreement. A society without dialogue can't unify against those who are exploiting all of this. We could pretty much end the episode even right here if we truly grasped the lengths evil is going to our detriment, over lifelong friendships, family divisions, work. I mean, just you can see how this is playing out. We've lost that resilience. We must gain it back. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but ever since the planned scamdemic, where they ramped up fear, locked people in the homes, and all you had were your social medias and news, just fear, pump. I'm sure that took a toll, but it goes beyond the manipulation and control of information. I believe a lot of the deterioration we're experiencing now also has to do with the biological. 100%. I've noticed within myself and Lyme flares dating back to an older bioweapon that's in my body. I lack the patience. They've even called it Lyme rage. I easily lose on maintaining my cool, and more so fulfill what evil has intended with that bioweapon and more new biological warfare within others. I believe that also has taken a huge toll, and I'm not seeing a fast enough switch on gaining our health to even properly address that. In fact, I'm seeing with all the studies coming out with turbo cancers, infertility, everything, we're deteriorating. So until we can even get a grasp on those health aspects, I don't know that dialogue in and of itself is. So it's kind of a two war being waged on not just two battlefields, but from two different angles. We must fend off simultaneously to really gain ground at all, or even hold the ground we have. Weaponizing censorship and misinformation labels under the guise of combating misinformation. I don't know if I'm leaving this up too long, whether or not you want to see my ugly mug. Guys, I'm showing up with boils on my face. I'm grateful for what people say, the man makeup, just letting the scruff go out kind of keeps it from being that noticeable, but I'm grateful some of my prayers have answered and the inflammation in my face has gone down some. But anyway, the weaponizing censorship and misinformation labels has been a big one. Under the guise of combating misinformation, this dissenting voices are silenced. When people see critics deplatformed or demonized, they start fulfilling the worst type of censorship there is. Self-censorship. This is getting to the core of this very platform and its whole play on words of unmuzzled. We must maintain and continuously stay unmuzzled and not self-censor. The net effect, a narrow band of acceptable thought defined by powerful interests, not by free debate. Turning citizens into spectators. If you can convince the public that speaking out is dangerous or pointless, they'll retreat into passivity. A passive population doesn't hold leaders accountable. And that's the real prize for those in power. How this weakens and controls a people. Let's just emphasize on that weakening aspect. That is what I believe we're experiencing in these tensionous moments. But we will see weaker communities, mistrust replacing solidarity. Neighbors become strangers. Weaker minds. Less ability to discern truth. Debate or resist manipulation. Weaker action. People are too busy fighting each other or afraid of being attacked to challenge those at the top. We're constantly fatiguing ourselves, burning the wheels, which is just leading into a weaker, more controlled state. It's pretty heavy stuff, but I believe this, alongside of the health attacks, is what has led to this grave elephant in the room. The more we really do our homework on this and are able to absorb it, I believe this gives us the resilience, the cure, essentially, and the patience to help navigate these moments better to the benefit of everyone engaged. So the antidote, if you will, it's just simply reclaiming our capacity to disagree. The antidote, once again, reclaiming our capacity to disagree. Their words, why are we reacting as though knives are being held to our throats? And that was a 10 plus year friendship. That's your blood sister, brother, or in-law. Someone that's not going anywhere anytime soon in your life. Reclaim your capacity to disagree. The real act of resilience. I'm just making up words. I'm not even reading my notes very well. The real act of resistance is rebuilding the ability to have honest, respectful disagreement without demonization, and using those words, those weaponized words. Well, that's not godly. We're failing even the presentation for ourselves of being whatever you would claim, Christian, etc. And I'm as guilty as snot, more so than most of y'all. But seek out opposing views deliberately. Could do wonders. Model calm dialogue. Refuse to let algorithms or authorities dictate what you are allowed to hear or say. Unity doesn't mean uniformity. It means strength through open, resilient debate. Get that screen share back up. I don't know if we're having any issues on this stream. I checked the connections before kicking off and things looked stellar. But that's a problem with Starlink. It could be great and then that satellite could go. And anyway, so I sure hope there's not too many disruptions. But once again, Mark chapter 3:24. And if a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a house is divided against itself, it cannot stand. Giving us some very basic, clear examples as to how we actually build beautiful, constructive things. It's unifying. And we can unify. It doesn't, once again, unity doesn't mean uniformity. Gaining the resilience to be comfortable with our disagreement. This evil that is clearly, and that is the greatest blessing. Because when you really realize that we're not just facing evil men and women that want financial blessing in this life and that want to profit off all this discord, it's deeper than that. That in fact, it is a spiritual war. I don't know any better tool than the Bible itself. Either the King James Version, I also really thoroughly enjoy the New Living Translation. I have yet to find anything I feel like it misrepresented the King James Version. It just makes it easier to read. But the great dragon, this ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, the one deceiving the whole world, was thrown down to earth with all his angels, deceiving the whole world. Seek what this means for yourself. There's so many biblical references in all this. I just pulled up some of them, but you can do your own research. But 2 Corinthians 11, what is it? 2 Corinthians 11:14. But I am not surprised. Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no wonder that his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. In the end, they will get the punishment their wicked deeds deserve. But at what point, if we're deceived by any of these individuals, and many of them are out there speaking as they follow our loving Creator in Jesus Christ, but the fruit they bear doesn't align with the teachings in the Bible at all. So at what point will we be deceived by falling for that to our own, forget the demise in this life, but spiritual damnation? I'm not here judging. I don't know. It's just something we really got to ask ourselves freaking daily. So who is this devilish character? Now we could apply the first little bit to it, but it will start explaining a little more about him. But so a lot of us that think we're following good people, this applies. For you are the children of your father the devil, and you love to do the evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning. He has always hated truth. Any suppression, it's a pretty good indicator where that's coming from, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, it is consistent with his character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. So when I tell you, I'm having a problem with this screen, it's glitchy, so bear with me on the read here, I apologize. So when I tell the truth, you just naturally don't believe me. I believe that's a lot what a lot of us even experience, because a lot of the information shared thus far, it's like, it's not even my opinion, folks. It's this evil doer and what he's stating and what he's threatening and the genocide they're engaged in, implicating this nation, putting blood on all our hands because we haven't effectively assembled to put a stop to an ethnic cleansing and so many other things. Which of you can truthfully accuse me of sin? Not me. Jesus. And since I am telling you the truth, why don't you believe me? Anyone who belongs to God listens gladly to the words of God. But you don't listen because you don't belong to God. It's interesting, because in this spiritual battle that's literally being waged before our eyes in a full ethnic cleansing, it's not even my words yet again. We go to Revelation 2 verse 9. Jesus' words from himself. And when I try sharing that to expose the deception, the level of corruption right here in this nation, Christians, self-proclaimed Christians, will sweep that quickly under the rug. No acknowledgement, no addressing, no absorbing Jesus's warnings for us in this time, and just come out with a distraction tactic. Well, what about this? It's whoa, hold the phone. We just skipped over something important. What did these words and this warning from Jesus mean to you? Can we address that? Maybe have a conversation about that, because I'm most curious. And the one that was willing to die for and pave a way for us when there was none. But it's like individuals don't want to listen because they don't belong to that God, as much as they want to project it. I've been there. We've all been there. The whole world, after all, has been there, going to be there. It's a forever work. God knows. We're not pulling the wool over his eyes. So it doesn't matter what those around have to say or think or judge. It doesn't matter. God knows. That's what's important. So, beyond me, once again, it is distasteful to dive into the Bible. And that's where I'm like, it's tough. I have my own personal reasons where it's very difficult going there, because I've been hurt. And a lot of godly individuals will utilize scripture in the most damning, devastating ways. And that's what I'm trying to refrain from doing here. Probably failing, epically failing. I apologize for that. Seek it for yourself. This is another good one. We have Romans 16:17. This is really good. Trying to touch on what I was just covering. And now I make one more appeal. My dear brothers and sisters, watch out for people who cause division. And let's not misuse or mince that word and what it really means. All I'm seeing out of the political side of the world we're dealing with is just that. Divisive. And whether ones on the right want to believe in that's all a construct, it's all divisive construct, and we're falling for the greatest lie ever told, that as though we have a choice, as though it is this or this, when in fact they're serving the same slave master. Nothing is as it seems. We live in such an upside down world, I tell you what. But let's just say those that believe and have formerly even stood on the right, guys, the vast majority of the left and ones that voted differently than you, the vast majority of them aren't what the manipulative machines are painting them out to be. There's a lot of beautiful Christians that you got way more in common with than the rulers serving this very synagogue of Satan right in front of our eyes. The very essence of our politics in this country is all divisive. It's not good. And it upsets people's faith by teaching things contrary to what you have been taught. Stay away from them. Such people are not serving Christ our Lord. They are serving their own personal interests by smooth talk and glowing words, and they deceive innocent people. But everyone knows that you are obedient to the Lord. This makes him very happy. I want you to be wise in doing right and stay innocent of any wrong. I don't believe we could claim innocent at the point we're supporting and not standing up against a tyrannical, oppressive government that is just warmongers seeking to enrich their friends under the lens and guise and deceptive lens, as though they're do-gooders, as though they even believe in Christ. The fruit they bear, when you really dive into it, says it all. So, this will end on this. Is a challenge for us all. Revelation 21:8. I don't want to meet any of these labels, but we'll speak it to those. We'll just boldly state it as I guess it's written. But cowards, unbelievers, the corrupt, murderers, the immoral, those who practice witchcraft, idol worshipers, and all liars, their fate is in the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. When you think about it, when all this really comes to fruition, everything that is touched on in Revelation and throughout the Bible, there's a lot that already experienced the mortal death, and I'm sure are awaiting the bigger second death. Let's not be cowards. Let's become believers. Let's not fall for the corrupt, murderous, immoral leaders. Those who literally have been practicing witchcraft. I believe there's a spiritual sense in witchcraft that is also tied into a lot of the pharmaceutical and other means, all the terms and agreements and everything we're clicking into. I believe we're getting, it's almost like a spiritual death of a million cuts. And I believe there's a level to all that is leading to the very elephant in the room we're experiencing as well. But there's good news, because we seek that relation with our loving Creator. I can only share my experiences as I've experienced and I've felt. And it's nothing miraculous like others talk about visions and hearing the voice of God. Get into that a little here in just a sec, but I don't want you to be afraid to set healthy boundaries when things end up toxic and you feel utterly defeated. That's important that you keep that, and then you take the time you need to heal, gain strength from our loving Creator. I know that you love these individuals, but to continually fulfill the very definition of insanity is not going to help you. I have experienced great peace simply taking pause and diving into the Bible and talking with God throughout the day like a freaking loon. If you were a fly on the wall, I tell you what, I speak to him as though he's right here next to me. But once again, I haven't heard anything. But I get promptings, I get feelings from time to time. But the most recognizable outcome for me regarding this practice is the peace I feel, the strength and comfort He gives freely to me, a sinner. And I know He is there to provide that and more for you. Thank you for all your support. Help us gain more momentum. Help all of our voices get louder. Let's truly become unmuzzled. Let's activate the algorithmic things against us and kicking off communication. Where did I step out of the light? How could I do better? What additions do you have to infuse? Throw them in the comments. Email me at unmuzzledchat@gmail.com. Help us gain the proper organization against this evil spiritual battle we're facing. The simplest action to take right now in this moment is just to simply hit that like button in this very episode and then share it. Follow Unmuzzled Chat on all the different platforms. The links are provided right below. Help us help you. Help us help the ones in need. A crucial part of keeping the ability to continue to do this type of work and stay in the category of the unpurchasable is acquiring the funds to even keep the lights on. Help us at bare minimum do just that, and greatly appreciate whatever you're able to commit to this movement, whether it's $1, $5, $1,000, $1 million. Got the Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee link all in the description below. Appreciate you. Can't do this without you. It is far past time that we start taking these actions and continually seek more steps to take each and every day that we are gifted. I pray more will do just that. Until next time, with great love, take care.